Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Giants get dominated in a 24-6 loss at the New Orleans Saints. The Giants' record drops to 5-9, and of course, I was rooting for the Giants this week. So it just seems as if, typically speaking, when I root for the Giants, they lose, and when I root for the Giants to lose, they win. So, look, did I think the Giants were going to make the playoffs? Absolutely not. But they're on a 3-game winning streak. Like, the high draft pick that I was hoping for is somewhat slipping away. I mean, not completely, but not in that top tier that I was hoping for. And New Orleans was just the better team, plain and simple. Both sides of the ball, dominated on both lines. The Tommy DeVito magic was not there today, simply put. And look, this was a 1-point game at half. Giants were down 7-6 to New Orleans at half. But the second half was all Saints. And, for New Orleans, they are right in the playoff mix as well. Not just the wild card race, but the NFC South, which is a weak division. But that was a big win for New Orleans. And the Saints had injuries too. Chris Olave out, Ryan Ramczyk. I mean, a very, very disappointing effort from the defense. They really could not get the key stops. It was pretty much, like I said at the top, domination. So just a very unfortunate but predictable outcome where the Giants are, again, like 5-9 is about as frustrating a place as you can be, in my opinion. Because at 6-8, they're, while unlikely as it would be with what is the remaining three Giant games, it'd be unlikely. But you legitimately, if the Giants were 6-8, like if they had won this game, you are getting excited for that Christmas game versus the Eagles, whether it would have gone well or not. On the flip side, and I've been saying this a lot, if they were 4-10, then you are right now, I think, sitting in the 4 spot right now with legitimately potential room to maybe improve upon that. As we speak now, I think the Giants are right around that 6th or 7th spot. They're right close with the Jets. I think maybe technically the Jets are in 6th, but that will fluctuate. So again, it's not horrible, but now it goes back to me rooting against the Giants, the final 3 games, no question about it. I feel very confident that they will lose on Christmas to the Eagles. And then from there, I guess we'll see. Home against the Rams. I think the Rams are a better team than the Giants, but we've seen the Giants, get things done at times. But and then that last game, home against the Eagles, the only way the Giants win that game is if the Eagles sit their starters. I don't see that happening, but there is a world where that could exist. The Eagles play tomorrow night on Monday Night Football at the Seahawks, and the result of that game will kind of give us a better idea for weeks down the road. But on the Giants side, Darren Waller returned and looked pretty good. I mean, he only had probably had about 4 or so catches. Yeah, 4 for 40. Yeah, he broke off a 29-yarder, and he looked pretty good doing it. Saquon Barkley did nothing, 9 for 14. And a lot of that's him, and a lot of that's the offensive line. The offensive line was really bad. I thought John Michael Schmitz was not good. Justin Pugh is battling, I think, a calf injury that he was kind of working through, and that wasn't great. Evan Neal's still out, so more Tyree Phillips at right tackle. Just not good. Just not good all around. But Paris Campbell was out again, and I guess I kind of misspoke last time, but it was information that we learned that, in fact, Paris Campbell, he's really like a healthy scratch. Well, he's definitely a healthy scratch. This week he was definitely a healthy scratch. Maybe he was banged up a little bit, but I think in both cases they just sat him out. A big injury that occurred during this game was Randy Bullock. I think he pulled a hamstring on a kickoff, and this was after he hit like a 56. I think it was it 56? I think it might have been. 56-yard field goal. So Jamie Gillen ended up being the kicker and actually hit a 40-yard field goal at the end of the first half. And Gunnar Olszewski became the holder, because that's what Gillen was. And I must have missed it, but I guess Gillen was I guess it might have been when Gillen was ran into. Gillen was also banged up, so they were in trouble, but it didn't matter. Like, literally, it didn't matter. The Giants never got into the red zone. It was Derek Carr, who has not been all that great this season, was really good. 23 of 28, 218, 3 TDs, no interceptions. And again, no Chris Olave. Michael Thomas has been out. Like, it was just not a lot of like big play explosion. The biggest play was a 23-yard, I think, was it the touchdown? Was Juwan Johnson a 23-yard touchdown? I think it might have been. Yes. That was their longest, play of the game. So it's kind of what the Saints do. They kind of dink and dunk you, but I want to give them more credit than that because they were getting a lot of sort of chunk, 10 to 15-yard plays. And, a steady dose of Alvin Kamara, who was not great, but was serviceable. Taysom Hill wasn't really a factor at all in this game. He came back from injury. But yeah, from the Giants, just very disappointing. Wandale, who had a great week last week, I'm not surprised this week didn't do much. And that's not his fault. That's just the way that it's been, where these guys will pop off every now and then. This was more of a Darius Slayton, literally from play one, this was more of a Darius Slayton week. He ends up with, a lot of it in garbage time, but 4 for 63. He had 8 targets. But Tommy DeVito took 7 sacks. DeVito sacked 7 times in this game. He really was great against the Packers. And you know what? Here's the thing with that. Green Bay got crushed today home against the Bucs. Lost by 14. The defense was terrible. It just speaks to the situation. The Giant wins. The Cardinals, 2 versus the Commanders, the Patriots, and the Packers, who are not good. That's being proven. Were they on a hot streak going in? Yes. Was that your most impressive win of the season? Impressive is the wrong word. Was that the best opponent you beat the season? Yes, but that's not saying much. So anyway, let's discuss this one. Again, not a whole lot of good to talk about. And again, just, overall my thoughts, Giants, being a Giant fan, it's just a frustrating season. I know a lot of people enjoyed that 3-game winning streak with DeVito. Again, it was hard for me. I didn't. I was not part of that. As much as I want DeVito to do well and, it'd be a cool story, I don't see it really with him. Could he be a backup? Maybe. I don't even think that's a guarantee, but I do think that at this point, Tyrod Taylor is going to be a free agent. You're not making the playoffs. You may as well roll with Tommy DeVito. To me, winning is not the ultimate goal here. At this point, this game ended any chance the Giants had of making the playoffs. It did, right? So from here on, it's all about evaluation, playing young players, and let's just be smart about this. So look, could DeVito get hurt and Tyrod come in, which is what happened in this game. At the end of the first half, DeVito took a hit and had to leave the game, and Tyrod Taylor finished out the first half. So things like that might happen, but if they're both healthy, I think Tyrod Taylor is better than DeVito, but I think they should stick with DeVito for now, for the rest of the season. So anyway, Giants get the ball first. They kind of catch a break, 4th and 1 at their own 34. It is a running into the kicker penalty on the Saints, which extends the Giant drive. The Giants got their points basically on penalties that extended the drives. That's how bad the offense was, and the defense wasn't good either. But Saquon Barkley, his best play of the game was a nice 17-yard catch that put the Giants in sane territory. And eventually they get enough yardage where Randy Bullock connects on a 56-yard field goal, gives the Giants a 2-0 lead. However, on that next kickoff, Bullock pulls a hamstring. So that wasn't great. Then the Saints go 3 and out. So a pretty decent beginning there, right? First 2 series, not bad. But then the next series for the Giants was not good. They go 3 and out. DeVito was sacked on the first play of that drive. And then the Saints go 11 plays, 68 yards, 6 minutes and 35 seconds. And to highlight some of the big plays, you get a Rashid Shaheed 3rd down conversion, which was a nice play by him where he kind of just runs into Cordell Flott, goes straight ahead and picks up the first down. Alvin Kamara with an 11-yard run. Juwan Johnson with a 15-yard catch. Lynn Bowden had a 17-yard reception, and eventually on a 3rd and 4 at the 7th, Keith Kirkwood gets a 7-yard touchdown catch, gives the Saints a 7-3 lead there. Then the Giants go, so now we move into the second quarter. Giants go 3 and out, including a sack. DeVito sacked on 3rd down. Then the Giants defense is able to stop the Saints. They gave up a 1st down, but eventually Jason Pinnock makes a really nice play and gets the sack. Blitz Carr gets the sack, and so now the Giants get the ball back. What was interesting was they get a 1st down. This was where Waller had a nice 29-yard catch. But at 2nd and 18, Barkley has a 6-yard catch. That makes it 3rd and 12. And Wan'Dale Robinson is called for offensive pass interference. For some reason, the Saints declined the penalty. Did not understand that for the life of me. And the Giants take advantage of that poor decision with a Waller 29-yard catch. Gets the ball to about midfield. But unfortunately, they are taken out of field goal range. Now, at that point, Bullock was hurt, so I don't know what would have happened, although I got to say, the Jamie Gillen field goal that was made was pretty damn impressive. But we'll never know because DeVito gets sacked, and it takes them out of field goal range, so they punt it away. Saints get the ball. And the Saints on this drive don't do a whole lot. There was an intentional grounding by Derek Carr, and they punted away. Giants get the ball back with 2:55 left in the half. They would eventually get a field goal and a really big play, which wasn't a great call, right? 3rd and 22. Bellinger 5-yard catch. They call Taylor for unnecessary roughness, which was not the right call. I understand why it looked that way. I thought they'd pick it up. They don't. So that gives, on a 3rd and 22 play, gives the Giants a first down. So now, again, you have the ball around midfield. It's the 2-minute warning. And the Giants eventually convert on a 4th down. Saquon, a 4-yard run, gets it to the 40. Tommy DeVito scrambles for 6 yards, and former Giant Isaac Yiadom, I think, was the one who hit DeVito. And he was injured on the play. Injured on the play, would not return for the rest of the half. He would come back in the 3rd quarter. So Tyrod Taylor with a first down completion to Wan'Dale Robinson. Matt Breida had an 8-yard catch. Eventually, a field goal at the end of the half. Jamie Gillen with a 40-yard field goal. So the punter with a pretty impressive kick makes it 7-6 at half. So all considered, not horrible, but the 3rd quarter specifically dominated by New Orleans. They started out, they get the ball first. They go 10 plays, 68 yards, 6 minutes, 21 seconds. And here's the killer. 2nd and 20. Shaheed, 19-yard catch. Now we're 3rd and 1. Kamara gets the 2-yard gain. So not only, it wasn't so much 3rd down, it was 3rd down efficiency on both sides of the ball for the Saints, but really, like, right there, right? 2nd and 20. And they get a 19-yard play. Then on a 3rd and 7, Carr incomplete to Juwan Johnson, but defensive holding on to Dory Jackson continues the drive. Then on 3rd and 3, Jimmy Graham with an 8-yard catch to continue the drive. Shaheed, 11-yard reception, and then Juwan Johnson, 23-yard touchdown catch, gives the Saints a 14-6 lead. Then the Giants would go 3 and out. A few penalties involved here, which didn't help. Saints get the ball back and would get a field goal. They start out with decent field position. A.T. Perry with an 18-yard catch. And then a big 3rd down play where Kamara gets a 7-yard reception to put Blake Grupe into field goal range, and he hits a 50-yard field goal, makes it 17-6 Saints. Then the Giants go 3 and out, including a sack on 3rd down against Tommy DeVito. Then you have a drive that goes from the 3rd quarter to the 4th quarter. Alvin Kamara with a 15-yard run. Then Kamara, a 17-yard reception. And then another situation where the Giants should have been all right. 3rd and 16 for the Saints, and A.T. Perry with a 16-yard catch. And I believe it was Adoree Jackson who couldn't take him down. Yeah, a tough game for Adoree Jackson, who I don't expect him to be back next season with the Giants. So that's a big 3rd and 16. And then Kamara, it's basically all Alvin Kamara until the end. You get a 3rd and goal at the 6 where Jason Pinnock is rightly called for defensive pass interference. A little too aggressive there, couldn't stop himself. And then it ends up with a Derek Carr to Jimmy Graham 1-yard touchdown. Gives the Saints a 24-6 lead. Giants have the ball at this point with 10:45 left in the game. Wan'Dale Robinson at 13, and the game is over at this point. Wan'Dale with a couple of first down catches. Tommy DeVito's sacked. A couple Darren Waller catches. And eventually, the Giants turn it over on downs. Saints get the ball with 6 minutes to go. Not a whole lot there to speak of. They punt it away, and then the Giants, with 5 minutes left, move the ball a bit. That's where you get. This is really where Darius Slayton's production comes from. Like, I think 3 of his 4 catches come on this drive, and eventually it stalls out. So that's your ball game. The Saints win 24-6. Again, just reiterating like that. This is not a good Giant team, and not gonna bash them. But it's unfortunate, right? Like, here it was where I was in a spot where I felt like, all right, winning in my mind now would be more advantageous than losing. And what do? Put up a total stinker. They just do. And so, like I said, last 3 games, two of them versus the Eagles, and then 1 in the middle versus the Rams. There's a good chance the Giants finish 5-12, which would be my preference. But the way they frustrate me, there'll be a win thrown in there. The game they will not win, I can't imagine, I'd be stunned, is the Christmas game at Philly. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be blowout, although I think it will be. But I would be absolutely shocked and appalled if they won that game. Knowing the history of these two teams, knowing that whether the Eagles win tomorrow night or not, like, it's a very big game for them, regardless of that result. So, yeah, disappointing. Not all that surprising in the fact they lost, but I really did think it'd be closer. This was, like, just pretty bad on both sides of the ball. And yeah, so now, you know, Giant fans that were rooting for wins, I'm sure a lot of them will continue to do so. Because let's be honest, when they started out at 2-8, the idea for those people that were rooting for the win, it wasn't about making the playoffs. That only became kind of a recent thing, maybe as early as the Green Bay game. And for me, I felt like they weren't close enough, and that proved to be, I mean, and they really weren't. Anyway, 3 more games to go. 2 of them versus the Eagles. It'll be the first game versus the Eagles since they embarrassed the Giants in that divisional round playoff game last year at Philly. So back to the scene of the crime. I mean, it'll be an interesting game if nothing else, just again with the rivalry and with what has happened in recent history, but not expecting that to go too well. But hey, maybe a result that I want will happen next game. I would think so. But anyway, Giants go to New Orleans. Their 3-game winning streak is snapped. They lose to the Saints by a score of 24-6.